All right, welcome to another edition of Web Chat with the Mayor. We have Patrick Sobeski here. Did your mother ever call you Patrick?
Only when she was mad.
Yes.
Only when she was mad. But no, I was actually Tish. My twin sister was Tish, and I was Patty at home.
Patty, that's an interesting one.
Patty. So when people call me Patty, I can tell when they knew me. So
it's a term of endearment, though.
Someone like Cam Roberts always refers to me as Patty. All the Navy vet guys all call me Patty because that was my name back then. So.
All right. Well, that's interesting. Something else interesting coming up Thursday night at City Council is we're set to approve another day of paratransit service in the city. What's going to be coming down?
Well, with the paratransit service, we're into a big review. And one of the things with paratransit is the province has indicated that effective January 2013, if you operate a paratransit service, it has to match the same hours as your regular conventional buses. And so we're obligated to do this come January 1st. Louise Gartshore and Harold DeHaan, they took a look at it and thought, you know, if we're going to have to do it, and we've always liked to think we're ahead of the game on paratransit, they thought they would do this pilot project just to check it out to make sure that the numbers were there to warrant it. And the result was that, I believe, generally speaking, Monday to Friday, they averaged something like 22, 23 rides a day. And the Saturday program that started without any advertising, it was averaging 15, 16 for each of the Saturdays. And so we anticipate that with advertising, it will probably get the same usage as Monday to Friday. And so as a result, the pilot shows that there's a need. And so council will be asked to say, okay, rather than wait until we're mandated by the province at the end of the year, let's start the program now. And as a result, it has a slight budget implication, I think somewhere in the range of an additional $13,500.
Well, it certainly makes a lot of sense when you look at things like, you know, the farmers market is only open Saturday at the fairgrounds, and Saturday is just, you know, generally a big shopping day. Kind of makes sense to open it up, right?
Well, it is, and again, if you're with all this new accessibility legislation, it's only fair. And the legislation says if you're providing a conventional bus service on a Saturday, then you should be providing the same hours for paratransit. It only makes sense.
All right, and speaking of Saturdays, last Saturday we had a chance to do the barbecue there for the spring cleanup down at Southside Park, and you know, you did a fine job on the grill with the hot dogs and kept everybody happy. This is a good event, eh, Pat? It's
a good event, and what's happened with this years ago, people would gather at Southside Park at the Works building, but what's happened now is groups have set up sort of special groups, so they will just automatically go to their end of town and start there. So you don't see the big numbers gathering at Southside Park and dispersing. Now they're kind of in teams and they sort of start out and then they all end up in Southside Park. So it's quite an event. And what I always, in the last 3 years that I've attended, the age of participation. There's everything from people that are, you know, young kids, 5, 6, 7-year-old that are picking up pop cans, to people in their 70s, 80s. It's that's the interesting thing is the demographics. It's not all youth people. It's not. It's a well balanced.
Definitely puts the friendly in the friendly city, and so I guess the big issue is the paratransit and a couple other minor things. But overall, pretty quiet agenda this week, Pat.
It's a pretty quiet agenda. One of the other things related to the paratransit is the Accessibility Committee has also recommended that whether it's on their committee or any committee, some people have support persons if they're on a committee. And so there's a report saying that if someone is put on an advisory committee and they have to go to a meeting and they've demonstrated that they need a support person, that the city also pay for that support person to attend that day meeting or conference. So it might mean some meal expense, some travel expenses, and maybe the odd overnight accommodation. But again, if you're asking someone to volunteer their time to sit on a committee, you can't then turn around and say, well, I'm sorry, you can't go to a conference. So that's on the agenda, but it's all tied in with accessibility, and it's just an indication of the changing society that we live in.
Okay, very good. Thanks a lot, Pat, for your time, and we'll see you again on Thursday night for council.
That's right. Bye now.